Hi, I'm Nolan, and today I'll be showing exgrasia, a on-chain multiplayer game that I've been working on for the past couple months. exgrasia is built to be a highly composable sandbox game that's kind of like an RPG. So let's just get started. I'll start by just connecting my wallet and doing some boilerplate stuff to create a in-browser proxy wallet. And now let me pick a cat as my character. Great, now we're loading in. So as we load in, I'll just note that the controls of the surface of exgrasia are quite minimal. You use right click to interact with tiles, which I'll show later, and then you can pan and zoom, and all of that to look around the map. And then, of course, you can move your character with WASD. You'll notice that this movement is kind of slow. That's because every move is a real transaction on the Optimism command chain. I think this slowness gives it like a spatial feel. So for instance, if I wanted to walk over to these rocks over there, it is going to be a hike. Um, and of course, these rocks are in the border of the map. You know, there's bigger mountains and water bodies and even an ice realm up here waiting for players to explore. But yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, talk about some of the mechanics you have access to as a new player. Since I'm a cat, it seems reasonable to start with fishing. To start fishing, I'll first walk to this water body right here. So to get started fishing, you have to first claim a tile next to the water. So here I'll select any fishing stand and then claim. Awesome. Now that I have a stand, let me cast my fishing rod into the body of water, as you can read the description. Alright, looks like that was successful. So now let me wait a couple seconds and then reel the rod back in. Okay, looks like I reeled it in successfully, but what did I get from doing that? So fishes themselves are just ERC721 tokens, so we just need a way to check our wallet. But the base layer of exgrasia has no wallet built in. Instead, what it does offer is a mechanism that allows you to inject arbitrary JS or HTML code into your game in the form of plugins. So anyone can write their own plugins, which can do things like display your fishes. That's exactly what I have here, a inventory plugin. So I'm going to take this plugin and add it to my front end. I'll call it inventory and put the URL here. And now if I open my own pane, there we go. So you can see that I got a killfish and do we get anything else? Oh yeah, looks like we also got a red snapper. So there's a deeper point here regarding front-end plugins. This was just an example, but you can already see the kinds of things possible with plugins. You can build your own UIs or data access layers as a front-end plugin. Here, for instance, I have a plugin which displays people's posts from Farcaster. Farcaster is a decentralized social network that's not very public right now, so I won't talk about it too much, but you can see how powerful this framework can be. Um, the catchphrase I've been going for with plugins is that they allow you to build a Minecraft that stretches outside. Alright, so that was fishing and a detour into front-end plugins, I guess. But one thing I bet you're wondering, what can I even do with these fish NFTs? So for that, I'll point you to this weird looking creature called the Tiny Questmaster. Let's check him out. And actually, instead of walking to him, let me just put him down here. Oh, looks like he has a bunch of quests for us. Hmm. Alright, looks like I can do the fishing quest real quick. So let me go and do that. I'll just go and catch some fish. Alright, let me actually cut out that part later. But now I'm back here. I'll check if my quests went successfully. Looks like they did. So what was my reward for that? It says I got access to the codex of this world. Let's try to claim a tile and see what that means. Oh, looks like I can input any contract address now. I'm not just restricted to the old tiny farm, tiny fish, and all of those. So at this point, I should confess something. All these tiles you see, this tiny corn farm, this questmaster, this mine, all of these are actually custom player-made contracts. Exgrasia's base layer does not define these itself. It is up to players to shape this world with these tile contracts. In fact, Exgrasia actually ships with its own IDE called the Exgrasia Remix IDE, which is just a fork of Remix that simplifies dev tooling for tile contracts, as I call them. So here I have a template for the campfire contract, and you can see there's like 4 functions. The 3 of them are like emoji, name, and a description. So these are the things you were seeing on the Xgracia sort of backdrop itself. And then there's also a tile ABI, which is something auto-generated, so you don't have to really worry about that too much right now. So let me show an example. So here you can see the tiny mine name, the description, the emoji, and all of that. Okay, so let's actually make our own contract here, right? So I kind of want to make a house for my cat, so let me find a house emoji first. Okay, so here's a house emoji, and let me put it here, and let me call it Nolan's house. And I guess let me also put a description in here. Here we go. Okay, so the ABI I'm just going to leave as is because that's auto-generated. So let me get started by compiling my small contract. And now I'm gonna select, oh, I still call it campfire. Let me actually rename it. Let's call it house, or actually, let me just call it like tiny house or something. Sure. Let me recompile it and switch to tiny house. And now when I click publish and populate ABI JSON, you'll see that we'll publish the ABI of the contract to IPFS and populate that link right there. So if I follow this link, I can get the ABI of this contract. It is a pointer to the ABI. Yeah, it looks like this takes a while, but anyway, all ABIs are used to generate these UIs automatically, kind of like scaffold or something you might have seen before. So you can basically make arbitrary complicated UIs just using these ABIs. Here, this ABI loaded up, so you can see all the functions we just wrote are in there. Now actually, let me try to put this contract on Optimism, and let's see if I can actually put this in a tile and actually have our own tiny house. So I'm gonna switch to MetaMask, and yeah. Yeah, it takes a second to load. Now we're just gonna deploy this contract to Optimism, and once this contract is deployed, we can just put the pointer right there. There we go. So let's see. Okay, so our contract deployed successfully. So now I'll just go and claim a tile that's right next to me and put in my own contract's address. So this is completely custom written, and there you go. This house we just built and deployed right now lives on the Exgratia backdrop as a first-class citizen. And this is just a start. We could add lots of things like a guest book or a mailbox or anything else you would like. The Exgratia Remix IDE makes it really simple to just develop and add new functions to our contract. And of course, you're not just restricted to one DAO or one contract. You can connect DAOs to each other. For instance, there's this OpenSea fish market where you can sell the fish we just caught. Or there's this tiny corn farm where you can get ERC20 corn tokens and then use those corn to feed your cow in a cow ranch and get milk. And that's just what I've built so far. You can build anything you would like to, since this backdrop is completely permissionless. I'm really curious to see what kind of ideas everyone builds. Of course, one grander sort of underlying question beyond farms and fishes and games, does Excretia even matter? Excretia is meant to be an exploration in this fresh direction enabled by crypto native gaming. What happens when you build a permissionless sandbox on chain? So I think one answer for why Excretia matters is that these are the seeds you need to make a new world. Another interesting sort of underlying exploration in exgrasia is this notion of on-chain UIs. One thing we've been learning recently is that even if you can build contracts that cannot be censored, UIs can be censored. For instance, we saw recently Uniswap Labs forced to delete a bunch of tokens from their front end, or even like political sanctions and stuff like that impact crypto apps people in different countries can use. The idea of having a DAO ABI that's a pointer within the contract is quite unlike the sort of standard way of making front ends. It is a self-contained piece of Solidity code, and the entire UI of the app is described just by the contract itself. It is sort of truly an app that cannot be censored, which is really interesting to me. Um, Finally, I'll just mention that you can actually go play exgrasia yourself at this URL. There is no whitelist or anything else, so I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in exgrasia. See you guys there.